Hi everyone, my name is Borkno. In today's video, we are covering Gacha news for week 2 of July. So let's go ahead and jump right into this. First things being, Punishing Gray Raven has hit 300,000 pre-registration. All right, and the next goal I believe is going to be 500,000, which is going to grant us like Lucia Lotus coding Daybreak. All things considered, I've been seeing Punishing Gray Raven on Instagram, all sorts of like social media stuff. So I'm super happy to see Punishing Gray Raven actually hitting their pre-registrations, and maybe we'll get some more pre-registration achievements as we are getting closer to the possible July 16th release date, but nothing is confirmed, so we'll just wait until its actual release. And then Alchemy Stars, I really wanted to cover this. Their grossing is actually pretty good. So this is Google Play US 400k, iOS 500k, and then if you look at JP, a whopping 4 million in revenue. And just note that we can play in JP if you want to, if you do like the QF downloads. It is known as a light line strategy RPG, and overall I think it's doing pretty well for itself. Of course, this is the launch, so you know the community will stabilize over time, but this is great for a game to release and without not really much mention of a noteworthy IP. Like, this isn't backed by like something crazy like Naruto, Jujutsu Kaisen. This is its own IP and it's doing great for itself. And to hit 4 million in revenue, that's not even counting, you know, the US market over here on the Google Play and iOS stores. I think this is pretty stellar overall. Right here is going to be the US game role-playing grossing charts that I wanted to personally cover, mostly because this is a good indicator of how the game is performing within the markets. And you know, the better the game is performing within the markets tells me that there is a decent future. And what's interesting is Genshin isn't here. I'm sure some of you are wondering like, what the heck is happening, Bork? It's mostly because this is based off of role-playing games. If you just do games in general, it'll definitely pop up, or if you go to action, it'll pop up. There are some titles that aren't considered role-playing for some reason. I would definitely consider Genshin a role-playing game, but I just want to give you guys a heads up. And same thing with like My Hero Academia. If it's not here, considered like an action or adventure. But I wanted to focus on the role-playing games because these are the ones that I usually play. So Raid Shadow Legends, it has a scary like ad campaign, so that's probably why it's #1 right now. And then when it comes to FGO, of course, it's going to be part of the top 5. FGO is beloved between the community. Same thing with Summoner's War, a super insane strong like community, so hence why it's like one of the top grossing, and it's been here for quite some time. Epic 7, pretty much close to Summoner's War community wise, and definitely one of the most well animated 2D games, I have to say. Huge Epic 7 fan, but personally I don't cover it in the channel because there's plenty of other content creators that cover Epic 7, and I don't really want to play Epic 7 at the moment. Seven Deadly Sins, you know, great game. Check out Seaton and all the different peoples, Nagato. This is a great anime RPG. Too bad Netmarble is publishing it, and too bad that there's such pay to win. Hence why it's probably like one of the top grossing games. But honestly, I liked it when I did play it, but personally I can't keep up with the amount of meta shifts that's currently occurring for that game. AFK Arena, absolutely fantastic. Vulcan covers it on his main channel. Personally, the best AFK game that you can play, free to play wise, just jumping into like a fresh server. I think it's pretty decent, but obviously if you're competing, you know, trying to be #1 in PvP and all that stuff, that's a different story, right? And then of course we got to talk about Alchemy Stars. We already covered it, but you know, seeing it here within like the top 50, top 20 areas, this is really nice. Just to note that Alchemy Stars in the US is doing pretty great. FFBE, Final Fantasy Brave Exvius, of course it's going to be one of the top 20, been around for a while. Guardian Tales, plenty of great content creators for this as well. I love Guardian Tales. I wish I covered it, but personally a different kind of game like Code Vein or something, if I were to play like an actual action RPG on my phone, or maybe I'd play like Genshin Impact. But Guardian Tales, definitely one of the best, decent free to play like playability and all that stuff. Blue Idol doesn't surprise me. This game was one of my favorite idol games, but personally I can't keep up with all the different players and the pay to win in this one. Black Desert Mobile, I played that on my PC, Black Desert specifically. If you want one with like the auto MMO like sort of built in and one of the nicer looking ones, then I guess you could play Black Desert, but personally I just don't touch these in my opinion. And then there's stuff like Evertale, the false advertisement king. There's Mobile Legends Adventure, adventure. I don't really touch this one. Kind of iffy on that title. I tried it, so much pay to win. Sinnoh Alice, definitely one of the most pay to win gachas within the market. It was fun while I played it. I love this game. I love the community. Don't get me wrong. I just couldn't keep up with the amount of stuff that they would pile on. And the banners that I've been seeing on Sinnoh Alice is absolutely insane. I'm super happy to see Touhou Lost Word within the top 50s role-playing games in general, because Touhou Lost Word, I feel like it's a very great title that deserves to have more attention. The Touhou community is absolutely amazing. I'm just happy to see it within the top 50s. All right, next thing is being Moonlight Sculptor. This is another like auto MMORPG sort of light sort of deal. I feel like this is pretty good. And then Kakao Games is generally a pretty great publisher. They can't go wrong if you want another like MMORPG that you want to try out. And then of course there's Distadia Final Fantasy Opera Omnia. This is an absolutely amazing like gacha RPG, very free to play friendly. You just have to put in the time and effort in case you want to play a game. This is probably like one of the ones I recommend. And of course Final Fantasy Record Keeper. Seeing it here is absolutely insane because this is like one of like the OG just like own games that I've seen like over such a long period, and for it to like still be around and still hit like, you know, top 60 then like the top 100 games, it's just nice. And then there's Eve Echoes. You know, if you're an Eve fan, not the same thing, you know, sort of recommend it but not really. And then there's other things like Illusion Connect. We don't really talk about that one. If you're wondering, I don't play it anymore. I love the community, I just can't personally partake in Illusion Connect myself anymore. And then there's Grand Summoners with like the Collab King with One Punch Man and Kill la Kill. Who knows what else they could probably collab with. Those are the ones that pop up in my head. And then there's Metrosphere that did release fairly recently, so it's nice to see it here in the top 100. It plays similarly to like a Unison League, Sinnoh Alice sort of game, but there's no PvP in it whatsoever. So if you wanted like an updated Unison League, I guess you can try this in some ways. And then there's Princess Connect, of course, my beloved, highly recommend. And relatively free to play. I think that's why it's on the bottom grossing area, but with Summer Kiryu releasing, I'm pretty sure it'll shoot up a little. Of course, Dragalia Lost, one of the best like free to play games. They're doing like their anniversary and stuff. I recommend this one to anyone. One Piece Treasure Cruise is an OG game for me. Dragon Quest Tact, a decent tactical game that I covered. Personally don't have time for the tactical RPGs because you gotta like builds and just be a little bit smarter on how you play it. Last Claudia, okay game. Sword Art Online Alicization. You know, gotta see an SAO game here. And then Destiny Child Unison League rounding out the top 100. Definitely both decent games in my opinion. And then there's Konosuba Fantastic Days that is going to be pre-registered, not released, pre-registered on July 6th. Just note, take it with a word of caution, this is going to be published by Nexon, and here is going to be some gameplay of it. Personally speaking, I like the Konosuba franchise. I like the Konosuba anime. I don't think that you can go wrong just watching the anime. Is this going to be a cash grab? It's Nexon. The answer is probably going to be yes. I think it's a decent game, but overall, it's going to be very simplistic with the way its combat and everything goes. I like the animations for it. I feel like it's pretty top tier, and this is going to be the same, I guess, developers that will bring us Jujutsu Kaisen. So to me, I will give it a chance, do a first impressions most likely. Personally speaking though, it looks sort of generic, but the animations look beautiful, the characters look okay, and you can't go wrong with Konosuba because Konosuba, the anime itself, is absolutely phenomenal. But just be careful before you dump any money into this one. And the next thing is being Girls Cafe Gun is going to be getting an EN release. Here's going to be some gameplay footage. This is like some Sailor Moon sort of style where they transform into their combat form. Kind of interesting right there. And yes, I did see the pantsu. I'm not sure if I'm even allowed to say that, but honestly, I'm going to keep it in there because, you know, we're degenerates here in gacha games, right? Honestly speaking. And there's going to be like their transformation sort of deal. Let's go ahead and look at some of like the gameplay. And thank you to Aka Mix for pretty much providing this gameplay right here. And as you can see, it's a 3D sort of top-down sort of thing going on here. And personally speaking, I think the art style looks pretty nice. It doesn't look ugly. That's what I want to say. It doesn't look terrible, and it seems sort of generic with like its scales and everything, and you know, you do your auto attacks by, you know, spamming like the buttons. But personally, it's a waifu collector, and you can't really go wrong with a title like this if it's only purely like waifu. It reminds me of Blue Archive a lot, like sort of like the dynamic between the characters and stuff. Obviously the gameplay is different, it, but I'm pretty hyped that this is going to get an EN release because I didn't see it coming. He's going to be like the Google Play stores, and then of course I added like a section in my Google Docs where I'm watching anime in case you want to be part of that. If you're looking for any links for the top grossing stuff, I left it here. And then of course I added some upcoming gachas where it's like, you know, Girls Gun Cafe. Mega Man is here. I'm not sure how that one's gonna be, but I love like the Mega Man franchise. I had some things with Girls Frontline Neural Cloud. I'm gonna be like taking a look at that one. And then there's gonna be some other titles. I'm kind of hyped for Contra Returns. I'm a Contra fan, but those are gonna be like the main things when it comes to like the gacha weekly news. You know, Girls Gun Cafe, I like this one, but honestly when it comes to monetization, I take everything with a grain of salt. And if you ever have any free time, feel free to talk about anime with me in the discords and whatnot. But yeah, if you made it this far in today's video, consider subscribing, dropping a like, leaving a comment, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. Make sure to pre-register for Punishing Gray Raven, probably the most hyped title for July. Most hyped title for me for gachas this year so far. Once we hit 25,000 subs, we're doing a giveaway. Thanks so much for watching and have yourself a fantastic day. See you in the next one.